Dr. Daniel Ereyi-Usoh is an optometrist and a budding communications professional with interest in public health and advocacy, healthcare, communication, and digital media. He's an alumnus of the University of Benin, where he obtained his Doctor of Optometry degree and recently completed his internship training at 661 Nigerian Air Force Hospital, Ikeja. He serves as the head of communications at PHIGA, where he also leads the Global Health and Population Interest Group and is a section editor at iSpace magazine. He has led several health outreaches, public health campaigns, and digital awareness initiatives across Africa, while contributing to health communication through published articles, blog posts, and thought pieces. He's passionate about the intersection of healthcare, storytelling, and impact-driven advocacy. He continues to champion eye health awareness and meaningful public health conversations amongst young Africans. So please let's welcome Dr. Daniel from wherever we're listening from. Let's welcome Dr. Daniel and be excited to listen to what he's here to give us today. But before we welcome him, we'd like him to say one or two things to us while we wait for people to join.
Okay, so I'm very honored to be speaking with each and every one of us today. And today's topic, leadership and teamwork. Sorry for my voice, I'm a bit under the weather, so I'll try to project more. Okay, so today's topic is leadership and teamwork. Leadership is very, very important globally, not even just in public health or anything health related, but as sorry about the break there. Okay, so I was saying leadership is very, very important in all facets of life, be it public health or whatnot. Leadership is not just restricted to just the CEOs, the presidents, leaders of countries, and all of that. In our day-to-day life, in the groups we interact with, people we work with, leadership and teamwork plays a very important role. So I'm really, really excited to be able to, go deep into the conversation today as we learn more about leadership and about teamwork. Because since we are tailoring it down to public health, because public health, there are lots of problems that we deal with, and is bigger than the problems are bigger than just what a single person can solve. From disease outbreaks, health misinformation, poor healthcare access, our weak healthcare systems in Africa. These are very serious and tangible issues, and it requires a whole lot of effort. Meaning, you need people to work together, and for people to work together, there has to be leadership that helps put everybody in line towards achieving that particular goal. So we'll go over all of this as the session progresses and officially kickstarts. So we'll just give a few more minutes for more persons to join so we can officially begin. Thank you. Okay, can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so like I said, we'll be talking on leadership and teamwork, with the topic being leading together and achieving more. So once again, I'd like to welcome each and every one of us to today's PHIGA capacity building program. Okay, so before we begin, what do we understand by leadership or teamwork? To us, what do you think leadership is, and what do you think teamwork is? If you just have an answer, can quickly unmute yourself so we can hear you. What do you think leadership is, and what do you think teamwork is?
Okay, sir. Teamwork is the act of working collectively with team members so as to achieve a goal.
Okay. How about leadership? What do you think leadership is?
I would say leadership is majority of the roles just to lead people in the right way. I can't really find it.
Okay. That's fine as well. So from listening to both of you, there are certain things that seem to be key and central. Okay, and those, I think there are three things. Number one is direction. Number two is collaboration, and then thirdly, it's goal. So there has to be a sense of direction that is provided through leadership. There has to be collaboration from the team and its members, and then there has to be a goal. So the direction and the collaboration has to work together towards a particular goal. So those are like the three core areas when we talk about leadership and teamwork. Okay, so what is leadership? Leadership is simply the ability to guide people and actions towards a clear goal, especially when things are uncertain. So, like we've mentioned, there has to be an ability to guide people and actions. So you're not just guiding people, you're guiding actions, and it's people that provide those actions. And those actions has to be geared towards a particular goal. The goal has to be clear. Right. So the reason why the goal or the clear goal is actually important is because you cannot guide people towards nothing. And the reason why you're guiding people towards a particular thing is because there's a hope for something to be achieved. What does that mean? It means things are uncertain, or a goal that is uncertain. You need to guide people in order to make that thing certain, meaning that you're guiding people to actualize a purpose or a goal. So that's what it means when I say, especially when things are uncertain. Because if there are no problems, then solution is not required. So when solution is required, it means things are uncertain, and then leadership helps guide people towards actualizing a solution to a problem. Now, anybody that is like able to move in the right direction is a leader. They're able to help others move in the right direction. Now, there are some people who we call natural born leaders. There are the people that the actions they take, people tend to follow. So those people they have what we call leadership instincts in them. Their actions easily influence other people. So that influence can come from their positions in authority, or it can just come with how they carry themselves. Now, in today's world, leadership is less about authority and is more about influence, clarity, and responsibility. Now, as much as authority, position in society or in an organization can influence leadership, there are also some certain people who are in positions but who are not able to exhibit the qualities that a leader should exhibit. And then there are people, most probably their subordinates, who others respect or follow their directions. Now, those sort of persons, we call them figureheads. You can be leading an organization, leading a team, even leading an establishment or a country, what as the case may be. But then your influence is not felt. People take you for granted, people do not listen to you, and you're unable to command the respect that your office deserves because you don't have the characteristics that a leader should possess. Now, modern leadership is changing. It's no longer based on position like we mentioned before. It's no longer solely controlled from the top, and it's no longer dependent on formal authority, which is what I just explained before. Most times, leaders don't necessarily need to be on top. They don't need to be the ones in control, quote unquote. Now, instead, it's measured by the results and influence, meaning anyone at any level can show leadership. So it doesn't matter if you are the CEO, doesn't matter if you are the president, doesn't matter if you are the team lead. But if you are able to bring results and your influence shows in how the team works or how the team operates, you are automatically a leader. Okay. Now, what are the requirements of leadership? What exactly does a leader have to possess? Now, the first thing we're going to look at is individual clarity. Now, like we mentioned before about leadership, for leadership to be effective, it means you have to guide people. And before you're able to guide people, you have to know yourself. If you are if you are confused about yourself, about your strengths, about things about you, you would not be able to effectively lead others. So when people look up to their leaders, they see the leaders as people who have the direction that they should follow. So if you don't have the direction, you would not be able to lead others in that direction. So now, what does individual clarity mean? It means your values. What matters to you? What things do you hold important? What are your ethics? Are you someone that has integrity? Those values are things that you should possess or you should know about yourself. So if you're unclear about those things, then you will not be able to function effectively as a leader. Now, also when it comes to individual clarity, you should know your strengths as well. What are you naturally good at? Now, most people would mistake themselves for most people who call themselves leaders feel that they should know everything. Now, being a leader doesn't mean you know everything. Being a leader means that you're able to identify your strengths and you're able to surround yourself with people who are able to do things you are unable to do. Same thing goes for weaknesses too. You should know your weaknesses, meaning you need support in certain areas. So if you are unable to identify areas you are good at and areas that you are not, you will be unable to effectively lead a team. Because once you know that there are areas that you are subpar, it means you'll be able and willing to listen to advice from people who are good in those particular areas. Instead of having a situation where when you are being not necessarily corrected, but when certain things are pointed out to you in areas where you may have made a mistake or an error, you tend to want to cover up because you are not able to admit that okay, this area I'm not good at. Let me what's the term now? Let me give it out to somebody who will be able to do it much better. And then when those things are now pointed out to you as areas where there's a flaw, you're unable to really admit it and then ask for help. So as a leader, you should know your strengths, the areas where you are good at, and the areas where you are not, so that you would be able to delegate responsibilities and tasks. Because as a leader, it means you're leading a team. So the team should be made up of people who are able to do things across board. So, for example, now you're in a team that is working on a project. You might be good in with communication. Other persons might be good in managing projects, might be good in creating maybe designs and stuff like that. As a leader, you should be able to delegate by knowing what these particular people are good at. So, as a leader, you're not just knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are, you're also knowing what the strengths and weaknesses of your other team members are and how to delegate responsibility. Because once you're able to delegate tasks to people who are good in certain areas, it means at the end of the day, what everybody brings to the table will be something good that will make the project worthwhile, make the project successful because everybody's bringing the best of their individual skills. Okay. And then also, for individual clarity, your purpose is also important as well. You have to know why your work matters. If you don't know why you are doing what you are doing, then it's as good as not doing it at all. because you are not going to be able to convince other people as to why it is important. So you have to know the reason for your work first before you will be able to convince other people to work with you or to give their best to achieving any set goal or any set project. Okay, so without clarity, decision making becomes confusing and inconsistent. Because if you are not clear about what your values are, if you're under pressure, your values can change. When there's pressure, will you still stand by your values? Will you still have integrity? Will you still be able to treat people fairly? So those things are actually very important because once they are not there, once you're unable to identify your strengths and weaknesses, even of your team members as well, the job work becomes confusing and inconsistent. At the end of the day, the set goal will not, or most probably will not be able to be achieved. Okay. Now, also, we're going to look at self-management, which is also a requirement for effective leadership. Now, good leadership requires discipline. Self-management basically is discipline. What that means is staying calm under pressure, thinking before reacting, focusing on solutions, not emotions, and then seeing the bigger picture, just not in the moment. Okay. Now, when it comes to being a leader, you should understand that most of the pressure is going to be on you. As much as you delegate tasks and responsibilities, the pressure of seeing those things come to fruition is going to be on you. So in those moments where everything becomes very tasking, how are you able to control the pressure? Because if you are unable to do it at the top as a leader, it means those under you are not also going to be able to do it because they are watching how you react to situations and then they work with that as well. So if you're unable to stay calm under pressure, then everybody else is going to also panic or act confused or be unable to deliver what they are supposed to deliver at the end of the day. And now, when situations come up that require a reaction, how do you do it? Do you sit, process, and then before react, or in the instant you just react? Most times, when we react immediately, there are situations where we need instant reaction, sure, but in that split second or two that you have, you should actually process what exactly is causing this and what is the best route to managing it. Now, the management might not be a long-term management, it might be something to help in the short term to buy more time to look for a bigger solution. But when you react without even thinking or even consulting, because one of the key things about leadership is consulting. Like I said before, you are not an island of knowledge. You are not a know-it-all. Being a leader also means that you would want to listen to the opinions of others or people that are working with you. So if you're unable to bring yourself down to consult, then you're not going to be able to find a lasting solution to whatever the problem might be. Okay. Now, still on discipline and self-management, you can really not separate the emotions that comes with the work from the work itself. Now, as a leader, you're going to work with a lot of people. There's some people who are slower to response than others. By slower to response, I don't necessarily mean response in terms of maybe text or calls or whatnot. I mean in terms of the work itself. There's some people that when you give a timeline, even before the expiration of that timeline, they're able to deliver. While there are some, it is on the day of the deadline, it's on the deadline day that they deliver. Some people is after. Some people you have to coerce them, text them over and over and over again before they're able to deliver. Now, being a leader, you have to know how to manage different personalities and how they function. It doesn't mean that you will not be stern in terms of deadlines or stern in how you manage people and how they deliver and when they deliver. You also have to be able to know how to manage those people that work longer or later than hours. Then you find a way to adjust to their own should I say schedule now. You might be giving them the task earlier, they might be finding the tasks that would not as time consuming as others, just finding a way to make sure that work or job is done effectively at the end of the day. Okay. So strong leaders don't just act fast, they act wisely. Like I mentioned before, when you're reacting under pressure or things of in the moment. It's not just about acting fast. It's about acting fast, but also acting widely. You might not have the solution in the moment, but in the moment, you don't just act irrationally. You can create a short-term solution, buying you enough time to find something that is more lasting. Okay. So as we go on, if you have any questions, just hold them or put them in the chat box. By the end of the session, we'll be able to take the questions that might arise. Now, let's move on to teamwork. What does teamwork really mean? Okay, so teamwork is more than working together. It is different people combining their skills to achieve a shared goal. Remember at the beginning, I mentioned that for leadership and teamwork, there are three things that, sorry, there are three things that both Shalom and Aisha mentioned that are um, the core areas of leadership and teamwork: direction, collaboration, and goals. Now, for leadership, we're talking about direction and goals. Now, in teamwork, we're going to be talking about collaboration and goals as well. So, those are the three areas that determine the effectiveness of leadership and teamwork. So, teamwork is different people combining their skills to achieve a shared goal. We mentioned before about a team being a collection of people with various skill sets. If you have a team, if it's a goal to achieve and you have a team of just a particular skill set, you're not going to be able to work. That goal, that project is dead on arrival. Let's say, for example, you want to do an outreach, an online campaign. And then that will require you having content writers, it require you having graphic designers, it require you having social media managers and whatnot. And then you are putting together a team, and then the team consists of only content writers. You're not going to be able to function. So a team is people combining their skills. So everybody would have a skill that they bring to the table to be able to actualize that goal for that team to be effective. So an effective team is a team that is comprised or composed of diverse group of persons with different skill sets that are bringing that set skill to the table in order to achieve the goal. The goal is always very important. So in putting together a team, you should look at the goal and assemble a team whose skills would be helpful in achieving that goal. So a team works well when everyone understands what they are responsible for, how their work connects to others, and what the final goal is. Since the beginning of this session, we've been speaking about goals and goals and goals. It's very important. Now, for that team to work well, they have to know what they're responsible for. And when we say what they're responsible for, basically what their skills or what their skill rather is going to help, or how their skill is going to help in achieving the goal. How their skill is going to help in achieving the goal. Let's take for people that watch football, for example, on a football pitch, they are different. They are all footballers, yes, but every player plays in a set position. Now there is the goalkeeper, there is the defender, there is the midfielder, and then there are the strikers. The goalkeeper's role is to stop the ball from entering into the post, to the goal post. The defender's job is to neutralize the attack of the opposition so they don't get to take a shot to the into the goal. The midfielder's job is to control the tempo of the game, to take the ball from back for supplying their strikers to get the ball on the back of the net. And the role of the striker now is to score the goals. That's the primary function of the striker. So everybody has to know what they're responsible for. If you don't tell anybody a footballer what his role is on the pitch, you find a striker going to stay in the goalpost. And if the striker is in the goalpost, he doesn't have the skill of a goalkeeper. So he's going to be useless in front of the goalpost, in protecting the goalpost, rather. So everybody has to know what exactly they are responsible for. Now, how does their work connect to others? How does their work connect to others? Still using footballers as a reference point. Now everybody knows that the role of the striker is to score the goal. The striker has to know that in order for his team to win the game, he has to score. The defender has to know that in order for his team to win the game, he has to prevent the other team from getting a shot. The goalkeeper has to know that for his team to win, he or she has to protect the goal to prevent the ball from getting past him into the net. So everybody has to know how their work connects with others in the bigger picture, which is the final goal. Same thing in anything that we work with. If you are in charge of reviewing something, you have to know that if this work is not reviewed, if any mistake occurs, it's going to affect the entire team. If you are creating a design for a program, you have to know, okay, this design is going to be how the program is going to be perceived. So it has to look this way, or that way. If you are writing something for this, you have to know that what we are writing has to project the emotion that the program is trying to project. You get it has to be structured in this way, has like it has been already agreed upon by the team during the team meeting or whatnot. So you have to know how your work connects with others to be able to actualize the final goal, which is very important. Now, what does a good team look like, or what good teams look like? Now, strong teams usually have trust, people who feel safe to speak and contribute. Now, one thing I personally do not like when I'm working in teams or with people is people who are unable to contribute. Now, it goes two ways. It goes in the way of one, as a person, if you are not convinced about the goal, then don't join the team. It is really frustrating when you have people who are part of teams who are not willing to contribute. I'm sure we've all had experiences. For those who are still in school or who have been in school, you all have experiences where you're in a group project. It might even be some of yourself. When you're in a group project, there are people who do not contribute a single thing to that group project. But at the end of the day, they'll still get the same marks that everybody gets. It's really frustrating when you have people who are unable to contribute to group tasks or team tasks and whatnot. Now you have to be able to trust that the people you are working with would be able to speak and contribute where needed and where necessary. And then also, as a leader, you should be able to create a working space or environment or feeling where every member, the idea is the contributions of every member of that team is deemed valuable. You might not take everybody's advice or everybody's contribution, but it should be done in a way where you are not discarding it because it is not useful, but probably because it does not work with the vision that you have, with the direction that you have. And you do that by letting the person know, okay, this your idea is nice, but if we do it this way, it's going to move us away from this path that we are on. And then that person is able to recalibrate that particular idea and probably even refine it to make it what will be suitable or useful in achieving that goal. Okay, now every good team has clear rules. Every member has clear rules, which is something we have said. Just reiterating. Everybody should know their responsibility. Everybody should know what they are offering. Everybody should know what their task is, and then good communication. Information flow should be seamless. It is very, very important when working in a team. So in a team where a person is saddled with a responsibility and then the task has been completed or is in motion and then nobody knows the state of that task, it is going to be difficult for that team to be productive. So once you are given a task or responsibility and it is okay, this is what I've come up with, let it be reviewed and then now push on to the final phase. So communication is very important. As a leader, also, you should also communicate what you want. If you do not communicate what you want, then people around you, people working with you, would be unable to give you that particular thing. You don't expect people to read your mind and just assume this is what you want. I saw a reel the other day, and it was about how poor. mm, I'll say Nigerian team leads communicate what they want using the analogy of design, graphics design. You give a responsibility to the graphic designer to create something, and then they create it, and then you say the design is missing something, is missing a spark, is not communicating. Those are very generic criticisms. What exactly are you looking for that is not there? It's either the colors are not working, so okay, use this instead, or the images that are on the design are not working, or be specific exactly about what you need changed or what is unappealing to you. Don't try to be so zen and you are it's not giving. If the design is not giving, what exactly is making it not give, and what should it give? What do you want it to give? All right, so those very direct and straightforward criticisms would be able to guide the team member, in this case, graphic designer, in creating something that would be worthwhile or you find good at the end of the day. Now, shared goals. We have been talking about, I think we've spoken about goals over and over and over again. Once the goals are shared, everybody knows what they're working towards. It makes the work much more seamless and much more effective. Okay. Now, leadership and teamwork are connected. Like we mentioned before, leadership provides direction, teamwork provides execution. As a leader, you cannot do all of the tasks yourself. You cannot achieve all of the goals yourself. So the leadership there is there to provide the direction. So that direction is the path that every member of the team is following in order to execute that goal. So for that goal to be executed effectively, you have to be able to provide direction. You have to be able to provide the path that each of your team members would follow in achieving that particular goal. Now, without leadership, the team lacks focus. Without leadership, without teamwork, leadership cannot achieve results. So together, both leadership and teamwork turn plans into real outcomes. Okay. So when people are working together, if there is no leadership, there's no direction, there's no sense of purpose, then you cannot achieve results. So the role of a leader there is to provide direction, like we said, so that the team will be able to gel in order to actualize their said results. Now, in public health, no one works alone. Solving health problems requires multidisciplinary efforts. Now, when it comes to public health issues, when it comes to public health issues, there has to be it is a multidisciplinary kind of thing. Doctors work with physicians, you work with data analysts, you work with community assistants, you work with a whole lot of people with in various fields when it comes to public health. It's not something a single person in a particular field can actualize. Now, if these groups are not aligned, the progress is slow or ineffective. So everybody has to know the reason why they are doing what they are doing. Everybody has to know not just what they bring to the table, but also what others bring to the table. Excuse me. What others bring to the table as well. Now, as young professionals, here are the key questions that you should always ask yourself whenever you are working in a team, or even when you're a leader as well. The one that do you understand your role clearly? Do you understand your role clearly? Do you know what you are in the team for? Do you know what you are bringing to the table? Or are you the table? Do you understand what your role exactly is? Are you communicating in a way others understand? Now, it's one thing to say something, it's another thing for people to understand what you say, which is why I gave that analogy of somebody saying the design is not giving. You're communicating, no, it's not giving, but what exactly is it not giving? And what exactly is it supposed to give? So your communication has to be understood properly. And also, are you helping the team forward or creating confusion? There's some people that when any team that they are part of, there will always be issues there. Going back to school days as well. There's some persons that nobody ever wants to be in their team because once they're in their team, hey, there's problem, there's wahala. They can never work effectively with anybody. So if you're that kind of person, you will be unable to function in any team. It means you're always creating confusion. Same goes, it also goes in the same way when there are certain people, there are certain persons, sorry, that everybody also wants to be on that team because they are good at what they do and they're able to bring everything together to work effectively, even as a leader and as a team member as well. There's some leaders that when it's time to pick a team, there is a particular person that they always want because they know that person has a lot to bring in terms of achieving that goal. And also, are you taking responsibility when it matters? Whether you're a leader or not, you all should be able to take responsibility for things, whether going good or bad. There's some leaders that when the thing goes well, when the results are good, they are always in the forefront of taking the accolades. And then when it goes bad, they are the first to point hands at the persons who did not do their job effectively. So they take the blame. So as a leader, when things are going good, you should be able to also shed light or point the spotlight on your team members because they are the reasons why the goal was able to be actualized. And then when things go bad, as a leader of the team, as well, she able to say, "This is my team. We take responsibility for this, and then we're going to work on it to see how it's going to get better." That is, although those are the true traits of a good leader, and then of a team as a whole. Now, these simple questions improve both personal and team performance. So once you're able to answer those questions to yourself, honestly, you can then make improve the team performance at the end of the day because you're going to know yourself, what you bring, your weaknesses, and then at the end of the day, factor it into the entirety of the team and how they work or function. Now, in conclusion, at the end of the day, success is not just about individual talent. Like we said over and over again, everybody has a skill, everybody has Everybody has something that they're good at, which is why they're in that team to bring something to the table. Now, it's not just about what they bring to the table. It's not just about what you bring to the table. It's about how well people connect and work together. When individuals are clear, teams become stronger. When teams are strong, systems become effective. And when systems work well, real impact happens. Again, we're going to go back to what we said at the beginning: direction, collaboration, and goals. Once there's direction, collaboration becomes seamless, and then goals are able to be actualized, which is what it means when we said when individuals are clear, teams become stronger. And when those teams are strong, systems become effective. The engines are able to churn effectively, they are well oiled. And then when those systems work well, real impact happens. The goals are able to be actualized. So leadership and teamwork are not separate skills. Okay. They work side by side for the same outcome. Again, direction, collaboration, goals. It helps us, get things done together and very, very effectively. Okay, so with that, I think we've come to the end of my session on leadership and teamwork. So we're going to be opening the floor for questions. So thank you very much. If you have any questions or even contributions as well, if you have stories of how you worked in teams and maybe the issues that you experienced as a leader, even as a team member, maybe persons who were supposed to do a task and then they weren't able to, just any contribution at all or even questions, please you can just indicate so can. Okay, so Aisha, your hands are up. Please go ahead.
All right. Thanks so much for the wonderful session, sir. It was really enlightening. So my question is concerning, okay, let me just ask the question. So in a group where everybody has different ideas that are maybe against what maybe the leader has proposed, so how can one handle such situation? And my second question is around a case where maybe people have similar skills and maybe the job is meant to be handled by just one person, such situation too. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much for those two questions. Just so I sure I got the questions correctly. You're asking in a situation where in a team, the ideas that the team members are bringing does not align with what the leader has in mind. How do you work on that? And then the second question is about people having the same skill sets and in a project that requires a variety of skill sets, how do you manage such situation? Are those the questions? All right,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, okay. All right. So for the first question, ideas that don't align, ideas that don't align. Now, like I said, as a leader, you have the goal. This is the goal. You share the goal with the team. But what you're asking of the team is, this is the set goal. How do we actualize this goal? So if they are bringing ideas that do not align with that goal, it's one of two things. Number one, either the goal you didn't share it clearly enough, you didn't communicate it effectively, or number two, they do not understand what you shared. So you're even basically even similar. Okay. So number one, you first of all make sure that you're communicating what the goal is very effectively. And even as at then, when they are still bringing ideas that do not align, you say, okay, I hear what you are bringing, but if you say we should go through road A, and the road you want is road B. Example, you are going to let's just make it a very simple analogy. You are going to church, or you're going to the mosque, or you're going to go to the cinema. You're going to see a movie, and then just say, okay, we're going to the movie. Oh. Where do we take to the cinema? Do we take this road going to the cinema that is just 5 minutes long, or do we take this road that's about 10 minutes and it take us around the whole city before we get to where we're going to? And then they bring ideas and say, okay, let's take this 5 minutes, let's take this long road and even use bicycle along the road. Then you are going to now make them know, okay, if we take this, it's going to take a long period of time. This is where I want us to go through. What we are looking for now is a route that will take a vehicle, a means that will take us to that direction using this route. Okay, so you say, okay, let's use bicycle. Is bicycle the only option? If that maybe the bicycle is the only option, yes. Okay, so instead of using the bicycle on that 10 minutes route, let's use the bicycle on this 5 minutes route. So at the end of the day, it's all about you're not discussing totally what they said. We are saying, okay, this is not where we are going to, but how can we now move towards this particular part, this particular direction, even with your ideas, but tweaking it in a certain kind of way. And this one now will only work if actually you were able to explain what the goal is properly. So the first thing you have to do is to ascertain if they understand the goal or the vision first before even trying to tweak ideas to match the goal. So if you find out that they actually do not even understand the vision, then you can say, okay, let's start this all over again. And you start again by explaining what exactly the goal is. I hope you understand what I mean. Okay. So then for the second question about people having the same skill in a particular task, I think in that case that's where team selection comes into play. If there's a goal and you need a team, you should assemble the team in a way that each member is able to tackle a particular problem. So if you're selecting a team and you need a designer, you need a writer, you need a streaming manager, which is the example that we're giving, it does not make sense to now get three people that are just one particular thing. There's people that have multi skill sets, and people that can do graphic design and then manage social media. In that case, they can function in both roles. But if you need real results, then there's no way you would get people that have the same skill set to just work with you. So at the end of the day, it goes back to your team selection. You have to select your team well. If you now have maybe you have a complete team of people with various skill sets, or maybe you have two per team. We can now do what, for example, what PHIGA does in our communications team. We have a lot of designers, a lot of managers, a lot of writers. So we now even further split them into various teams and then schedule them. So for June, team A is in charge. For July, team B is in charge. For next month, so you can now share responsibilities like that. If you have a whole lot of people with various skill sets, you can now further break them down into various teams and then they can work. But if it's something of a, if its goal is something that requires a short timeline where you don't have the luxury of splitting teams, you can say, okay, for this, there's a design need. You have two graphic designers. Okay, both of you can work together to create an idea and then work on it. So in that way, now you're not selecting one person to do it and the other person should go and sit down. I say, okay, so both of you talk within yourselves and come up with an idea, work on it, and then let's see it. So in that way, both of them now are working together instead of separately. So when you work together, you have two people who are good in this particular skill, combining their skill together. Obviously, what they will create is going to be something beautiful. So that is another way to tackle that. I hope I answered the question well.
Yes, absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yes. All right. So is there any other question or contribution?
Hello, good evening. Good evening. I'm audible.
Good evening. Yes, good evening. You're audible. Go ahead, please, Chima.
Yeah, sorry. Please, I have a question. Like for someone who is a leader, how do you balance being sensitive to, will I say, the emotions and the peculiarities of your team members, and also at the same time focusing on your goal, being goal driven? So how do you tend to balance those two if maybe they ever come in variance with each other? So how do you balance them?
All right. Thank you very much. That's a very, very important and salient question that you asked. How do you balance the emotions of not just your emotion, but the emotion of your team members, and also having that back of your mind that there is a goal to be achieved? Now, as much as being a leader means you are taking into consideration the emotion of your other team members, it also means that you should be stern in the work that is to be done. Being a leader, you should be approachable, you should be able to relate to your team members, you should be able to listen to them and communicate effectively. But at the same time, you should also let them know that there is a job to be done. So it's one thing to be able to listen to maybe the reasons why they did not bring forth what they were supposed to bring forth at a particular time. Maybe they were given a deadline and then they did not work to that deadline, and then they give excuse and all that. It's okay to be able to listen to them and say, okay, I understand this. But in the same vein, there's a work here to be done, and you have to be able to put in all of your efforts. No, you ought to be able to put in a lot of effort to actualize this goal. So when you notice that you're not able to meet the deadline, who did you communicate with? I understand you just give, oh, maybe you were ill-disposed, something came up, yada yada yada. And the question you ask is, who did you tell? You did not inform your team leader or whoever that, okay, I won't be able to meet this deadline because of this. Because if they did that, as leader, I say, okay, probably you have to reassign or even extend the deadline. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So at the end of the day, you are listening to them, you understand where they're coming from. But in the same vein, you're also giving them something, you're also giving them tips for that they can work with in the event that it happens again. Communicate why this will not be possible as at this, so that we can be able to, either reassign or extend the deadline for you. So in that way, you are listening to why they were unable to do what they were supposed to do, and then you are giving them solution for the next time. So when it occurs again and they still did not use your advice, then you can now maybe put forth will I call it a punishment now, sort of. You understand? So like I said, as much as you are listening to their reasons for not doing what they were supposed to do, you are also being stern in letting them know that there's a job to be done. And this job requires you to put in this, and this. If you're unable to put in this, and this, for whatever reason it may be, communicate so that we'll be able to, achieve that. So in that way, you are being stern and at the same time being emotionally intelligent to handle that kind of situation. Is there any area that you're unclear about, Shima?
I think that's okay. Thank you very much. I'm satisfied with the answer.
All right, you're welcome. So is there any other question again or contribution? Okay, so if there are no questions, I think I should probably even ask questions so I can hear from you guys as well. Okay. Okay, so do you think that there is any for leadership now, if a leader lacks, self-awareness, discipline, what areas do you think it will impact their team? I think we spoke about slightly about something like that during the session. So for a leader who is not disciplined, how in what ways do you think it will affect the team that he's working with? Hello. Let me repeat the question again, maybe in case you guys didn't hear me clearly. For a leader, we mentioned that one of the requirements is self-awareness, discipline, basically. So for a leader that actually lacks that discipline, what impact do you think it will have on that team? Okay, before we get back to, I think there's a question in the comments in the chat box. Daniel is asking. Okay, hold on. I'll repeat the question in chat. Daniel is asking, as a leader of a project, how do you talk your project coordinator? How do you talk your project coordinator or members who are failing to meet deadlines? Okay, how do you talk to your okay, and then how do you influence members of the team to also show for meetings? Okay, so I think the first question you asked is basically what I think it was Chima, if I'm not mistaken, that asked something similar to that. Yes, that asked something similar to that not long ago about how you manage emotions of people while also having at the back of your mind that there's a job to be done. How do you talk to your members who are failing to meet deadlines? Number one, you have to ask them why are they failing to meet deadlines. You have to also note if it's something that is recurrent. You have to know the why. You cannot make assumptions. You have to know the why. Is it that they're not interested in being part of the team, or they're having issues with maybe some people say they have electricity issues and they want to charge their devices, yada yada yada. And you find out why exactly. And then when you know the why, you can now be able to see if there's a way you can structure or tailor their tasks to be able to get the best for them to function much more productively. Understand? If it's something you can say, okay, let us be giving you these tasks earlier so you have more time to prepare. Or when do you usually have stable electricity? So we can now say, okay, within that time period, you can even give them advice. Okay, since you know the electricity is bad, is poor. Okay, so at the time when you have stable electricity, you can spend a certain percentage of your time working on this project so you can be ready on time. Just you can work out a plan with them so they can function more effectively. You can also find out if the reason why they are delaying is because they do not have the interest. It's fine. There's people that get worn out. There's people that no longer find interest in doing certain things anymore. That might be the reason why they are missing out on deadlines. I say, okay, honestly speaking, is this something you see yourself doing continually? If not, it's fine to let me know so that we can probably part ways amicably. So because there's a job to be done, you cannot allow one person hold you back. Understand? So if it's something you're not willing to do anymore, let me know so we can find a solution. And then it's amicable. There's no reason to hold malice or beef. Or if it's something you cannot tackle, okay, say this is how I think we should do it moving forward. So that way you're able to sort out whatever issues it is and you're able to communicate with them effectively. And how do you influence members of the team to show up for meetings? In this regard, there are a couple of simple things you can do. Number one is to let them know on time. There are people that will say the reason why they didn't show up for meetings because they did not get to know about the meetings on time. Let them know on time. Set up reminders. I think there are tools for that now where um you can schedule meetings on calendars by getting their emails and then they receive notifications 2 days to a day to an hour to 30 minutes to. You also can also send reminders as well. So if you have exhausted all of that and people still do not show up for meetings, then you now have to take other drastic steps. Finding out why, if their interests still lie in the project, so you can get more people who are willing to put in the work. Okay. Okay, so Shalom actually answered the question I asked Aishat was for a leader that lacks self-awareness, that's discipline, how will it impact the team? So Shalom said he won't be able to delegate tasks properly, he won't be able to stand on decisions firmly. Very, very correct and very true. If you lack discipline, you'll be unable to delegate tasks, and then you will be unable to stand on decisions firmly. You will be too mounted and yeah, Aisha said there will be less coordination exactly because one of the jobs of a leader in when you are trying to push everybody to guide, not push on to guide people in the right direction, is that you need coordination. So once you are not disciplined, you'll be unable to communicate. To coordinate your team effectively. I think that's actually very, very good. So I believe with that we can call it a night. We've come to the end of this session. Thank you everybody for taking our time to be part of this meeting. It was really, really, really a very lovely session. I really appreciate everybody for being here. I think this is the 4 of the. Okay, Daniel, I just saw a question now from Daniel Brew. It says, as a leader, how do you deal with a colleague, same level, who keeps on making errors but does not own up to their mistakes? They have also managed to paint themselves the better person to the seniors, but gives unreliable data. Hmm. It sounds like the very, very personal thing. Well, yeah, how do you deal with a colleague who keeps on making errors but does not own up to their mistakes, but have also managed to better, paint themselves a better person to the seniors, but gives unreliable data? Very simple. First key thing there is that you know that you are the leader. Okay, you are the leader. So if this person has consistently been making errors or is unable to own up to their errors, I don't know what the structure of the team is or what the goal of the team is. But if it's something that involves seniors, then you can now also present your own. Since the person is painting himself the better person, you can now bring out the data that supports that. Okay, this person has been consistently doing this, and this wrongly, and doesn't seem to want to change. So if you're taking the matters up to higher powers, you also bring your own data as well to back up your own claim to the higher powers. Understand? Then also, okay, the other dimension is emotional respect isn't coming from this person exactly. So if it's something that you have control of the team and this person is giving you problems consistently, one thing like I mentioned at the beginning, direction, collaboration, goals, all of these have to work together. If there's direction and there's one person foiling the collaboration, it means the goal is going to be tampered with. It means you're going to have issues achieving that goal. So if there's one bad egg, it's best to separate that bad egg from the team so it does not end up ruining the work every other team member is going to put in place. You understand? So if it's something that requires a higher power, present your own data to show that this person is doing this wrongly, and that is why there is friction, and then it can be solved. And if you have complete control of that team, then you can now, with the support of everybody, it's important that you're not the only person that is seeing this constant errors that this other person is making. It's something like a consensus that everybody is seeing vividly that this person is consistently making errors and is unable to own up to those errors, so that you cannot be able to say, okay, I won't be able to work with you anymore if this is how you behave. Let us go our separate ways. Because the goal is what is most important. If there's something or someone hijacking that, then it's going to be a waste of time and energy and effort for everybody. Like I said, as a leader, you have to be both emotionally intelligent and soft, and also be stern, because the goal is the most important thing. Okay? So thank you very much. I'll answer that question. So, so thank you again. Thank you once more to everybody. Really appreciate the time and your efforts in making this meeting. So like